Good morning, Vittorio. ¿Cómo
Good
estás?
morning, benissimo, tu come stai?
Muy bien, gracias. We're going to be talking about sponsorship strategy. More and more brands are finding that they're investing in sports and other passions creates this kind of emotional connection with consumers. When we're building our sponsorship strategy, how do we know that we're investing in the right areas?
That's a great question and definitely an important one for brands to answer right before investing big money in sponsorships. Generally, we advise with our brands that we work with, from Heineken to Coca-Cola and the healthcare system and so on. There are four things that you want to really ensure you have. First of all, reach. Will that specific passion that you're trying to attach your brand to reach sufficient consumers? But reach alone is not sufficient, it's the intensity. Will, by reaching consumers to the passion, create that emotional connection? And sometimes, for example, we find that sports is a better passion to create that stronger connection than some other passions, but that's not always the case. Food, movies, music could be equally strong depending on it. Then you need to check for brand alignment. Is your brand a good fit for that type of passion? There needs to be a connection. You need to be able to kind of really make that bridge. And then finally, ownability. Is there something within that passion that you can really own? Think of Rolex at ATP tennis tournaments. You know, they are the timekeepers. And so there's a perfect place for that brand within that sport that actually target the right demographic that are most likely to be interested on that brand. So follow those four rules: reach, intensity, brand alignment, and ownability, and make sure that they do check.
Okay, so we mentioned that in order to ensure that a brand is investing in the right areas, we have to check for these four things. We've got to check for reach, intensity, brand alignment, and ownability. How do we go about doing that in a fact-based way?
There are ways to do it. More and more, it doesn't have to, no longer to be guesswork. Over the years, we have established approaches to quantify each one of these, allowing you to get conclusive answers. For example, we might analyze media engagement metrics, data that determine the intensity, or we sometimes use consumer segmentations models to identify the alignment with your brand psychographics. So the ways and approaches exist out there, and it doesn't have to be guesswork.
And when I'm deciding how and where to invest in sponsorships, how do I ensure that I sign the right deal at the right price?
There is no easy answer, and again, gut feel is not what you want to use. In our experience working with large brands, you really need to build a proprietary intelligence system that is able to have three key ingredients. The first one is a consistent structure, so that when you evaluate different deals, you do apples to apples. That requires having an ownable database of past deals, so that you really refer back and say, wow, based on this data, this is a better deal than the other one. Again, you cannot rely on syndicated third parties. They will try to give you off-the-shelf tools that are not really applicable to you. So you need to build your own database. And then the third one within your own database is to create benchmarks that allow you to say, what is your Mendoza curve? What is the threshold over which this sponsorship is actually worth looking into?
When thinking of investing in sponsorship opportunities, we see that most brands already have this portfolio of sponsorship. So when we're deciding in additional investments, how do we know whether they're worth it, whether it's enough to justify the cost, or whether it's overlapping with other portfolio opportunities?
Well, that's a question many of our clients struggle with, especially because they come into us with a already established portfolio of sponsorship that they have, and now new deals come in. Well, should we do it? And if we do this with limited budget, what goes out? Talked about it at length. There is a paper that you can download on our website that talks about how we go about sponsorships, and we talk about the 3T approach. You need to look at target, you need to look at time, and you need to look at territory. These are the three criteria that allows you to say whether, and you need to apply an incrementality, an incremental mindset to this. And what I mean with that is, when looking at target, does it allow you to reach a consumer demographic or consumer targets that are not currently reached with your current sponsorships and that are in line with your brand strategy. When you look at time, is there a time of the day or even a season that is a gap in your marketing calendar where that sponsorship can actually fill and have a place? And when looking at territory, it's the ability to actually create more connections with consumers that are in geographical areas where your brand is not very aligned. And now a sponsorship with certain music festivals or sports can allow you to establish that presence. So the 3T, that's the way we actually go about evaluating it in a very fact-based way.
Vittorio, it's been a great time talking about sponsorship strategies and what opportunities to invest in when we're thinking about this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.